This is the weekend edition of Fear and Greed, daily business news for people who make their own decisions. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, our weekend show is all about the two of us each nominating what we think is the biggest business story of the week, the most remarkable business story, a sleeper story, one that's flying under the radar a little bit, and then our favourite business-related story. It is a competition, of course. Every week we have a winner. Usually it is not me, but we do have a judge to pick that winner, and it is our Fear and Greed colleague, Adam Lang. Adam, good morning.
Good morning, Michael. Good morning, Sean.
Good morning.
Adam, can I ask you very, very quickly to give us, we've had an influx of new listeners over the last couple of weeks. And so for their benefit and also probably for ours, what are you actually looking for today in the stories?
I think the point you're making there, Michael, is that we've been listening to Adam for about 4.5 years and still have no idea what the judging criteria are.
Correct. Adam, take it away.
They're vague guidelines. I'm looking for each story to have topicality, timeliness, economic impact, a little bit of something that'll play to my pure subjective bias, and some melodrama, please.
Okay. All right. I reckon I can tick all of those boxes. I will kick us off, if that's okay.
What's going on? I always go first.
Yeah, I know, but I have a sneaking suspicion that your story might be better than mine.
Ooh. Way to kick off.
Let's go then.
No.
Go first, if that's the case.
No, okay. The key today is brevity, right? I just want to get this done quickly.
Same old.
In short, the biggest story of the week is that there will not be any rate cuts until next year. Sean, as you always tell us... What?
You can't have carryover stories as your biggest story of the week.
Yes, but a big development this week, Sean, and this is why it is in this category, because as you always tell us, follow the money, right? And bond markets, as we talked about this week on Fear and Greed, are now pricing in a cut next year. Up until very, very recently, they were pricing in a cut this year. Not anymore. Bond yields have risen. First cut in rates, not until May next year. Inflation, obviously still the key. Don't interrupt again. I can see you're twitching. You have this little twitch in your lip that when you want to interject, you just go, and you just, no, okay. I'm getting distracted by you. I'm going to cover my eyes so that I can't actually see you. I'm going to look straight ahead in the studio. Inflation is still I've got my blinkers on now. I'm actually doing this.
Gosh, it's quite amazing how much you carry on. Seriously, this has been 40 seconds of get on with it. You using the main story of the week, bond yields. There's a certain irony in that. There's no doubt about it. And it's a surprise to us. But please, it's fascinating
irony
stuff
is not
from you,
one
Michael.
of the criteria to this point, but let's see how we go.
Maybe it should be. Inflation is obviously still the key. And the other big development on this front through the week was that was emphasised by the IMF, by the International Monetary Fund. And on this particular front, right, Australia is an outlier. Sure, everyone else around the world, all the other central banks are cutting rates at the moment. But Australia is one of only two major economies with inflation still above and expected to be above 3% for some time. Forecast is 3.6% for 2025. Slovakia is 4.8%. That's the other one. Do you know what Slovakia's main exports?
No, tell me.
Are?
No, go on.
It's actually interesting. Because I was expecting it to be something kind of
more interesting than this story, that's for sure. Go on.
Oh, please be kind. It's cars. It's cars. Because a lot of the big manufacturers, because they are a big manufacturing nation, and so Volkswagen and a lot of the big companies actually have factories there. They produce a lot of luxury. Jaguar and others, they all produce cars there. Anyway. It's worth mentioning as well, the IMF has lowered its global growth forecast for next year, warning of risks from war and trade protectionism. And Jim Chalmers made a speech late in the week as well to the IMF. And he emphasized the impact of war, saying that it is the biggest threat to our efforts to reduce inflation. At the end of the day, brevity is key. It's all about interest rates, not cutting until next year.
Well, what do you say? I just think I'll leave that. Biggest story of the week. By a country mile. CEO, bad behaviour.
See, this is why I went first. Yeah.
The big one was Richard White from WiseTech Global. There's been all sorts of allegations over the past 10 days or so. The share price is down 30% on Thursday night. Mr. White resigned. Started with a legal dispute with a Sydney wellness entrepreneur, Linda Rogan. She claims that he agreed to help fund her business but expected sexual favours in return. That suit's been settled, so it wasn't contested in court. Mr. White allegedly approached female entrepreneurs on social media with offers of professional support that could later shift to crude or suggestive language. Nine Media reported allegations that Mr. White had a lengthy relationship with an employee called Christine Kontos. Kontos was recruited by White after the start of their relationship in 2016. At the end, he gave her a luxury waterfront mansion worth $7 million. Now, that's the third property Mr. White has purchased and allegedly provided to a woman that he's had a relationship with. Then Nine reported that a former director of WiseTech Global, who left in 2019, accused him of intimidation, bullying, and overseeing poor corporate governance. As I said, he resigned on Thursday night. It wasn't just Richard White, though. Chris Ellison from Mineral Resources failed. It emerged this week from the AFR that he failed to disclose a 10-year tax evasion scheme. The scheme made money for 5 execs but cost shareholders $7 million, according to the AFR allegations. Mr. Ellison told the AFR it was a serious lapse of judgment from him. He's since made a settlement with the ATO. ASIC is now inquiring. There's more. Super Retail Group. ASIC is investigating treatment of 2 former high-profile execs turned whistleblowers. Super Retail faces allegations concerning bullying and harassment and claims that its CEO, Anthony Herity, was having an affair with the head of HR. It has been a week of some really, not quite sure what the adjective is, just stories of bad behaviour. Now, these are all allegations, and they need to be tested in court, so we need to be careful about that. But it really has been the week that the behaviour of CEOs has come to the fore, and no more than WiseTech Global's Richard White. He's run that company for more than 30 years. He founded it in 1994, listed in 2016 worth $1 billion, got to about $41 billion, has come off a bit since then, down 30%. But quite a remarkable story this week. Adam.
Okay, Sean, one of the preeminent economics writers in the land. What do you think of the IMF?
Who's the preeminent economics writer in the land? Me.
Ooh. Well, it sure isn't me, Sean, so I'm assuming it's going to be you.
Yes. So the IMF, I think we described it during the week as the daddy of all economies. It's got 191 members. Liechtenstein joined this week. Very excited about that. Basically, most of the information it gets, it would come via Treasury, Department of Treasury in Australia. But, yeah, good organisation.
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
So, interesting spectating on the world. I just can't see this as the biggest story of the week. No rate cuts for 2024. I know. The way, and particularly Michael, the way you built it up. What a surprise.
Yeah.
CEOs behaving badly. Do you remember that show, Men Behaving Badly, the British sitcom from the 90s? It was very good. Last week we had Nine's intersection report being delivered. This week we've had Chris Ellis and Richard White, Super Retail Group. Stories continue to evolve. My word, some of these people have been very busy, far busier than I could stand. So, Sean, I think you have to win for biggest story of the week.
I think that's fair. I would like to lodge a protest, though, that, Sean, I want you to go back to doing stories about interest rates and the economy and things, because I want to do stories like CEOs behaving badly. That feels like that's right up my alley. And you should be talking about the IMF and interest rate expectations and bond yields. What kind of a topsy-turvy world are we in where I am doing a story about bond yields? It's nuts.
So it is nuts. It is nuts. And if you only lost by like 2 points, I'm going to be very, very cranky when I see the score sheet. But because I have said I will not be doing economics till the end of the year. I'm happy to rescind that, Michael, but only on your agreement.
No. We're coming up to the Reserve Bank board meeting. I'll hang on to it just for a little bit longer. Thanks, Sean.
Right.
Be careful what you wish for. Shall we move on to most remarkable story?
Yeah.
You go first on this one because I jumped in too quickly on the biggest story. So you can go first here.
Okay. I think this is truly remarkable. In the US, there are growing concerns about the big supermarkets introducing surge pricing, meaning higher prices. Who went, then was that you, Adam, or was that
was
you,
me.
Michael?
It was me only because I'm like, dynamic pricing. Adam is just going to love this. He's already standing up. Oh, God, sickening.
This one's going to have everything.
Just take a seat, Adam.
So the idea that big supermarkets might introduce surge pricing is all about higher prices on different items at different times of the day. Now, actually, it was you, Michael, that was talking about Ubers. And you see surge pricing in Ubers at, 12 o'clock at night. The price of an Uber home is a lot more expensive than at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's that surge pricing. This is the next level from what's going on here. We're having fights with supermarkets about so-called discounts. This is a whole new ballgame. It's about what they call electronic shelf labels, which are being deployed across the country. They're just shelf labels that are electronic, as the name suggests, but they can be changed in an instant across all sorts of items and prices. Did you guys ever work in supermarkets?
Yeah, I was a checkout chap at Bilo.
Yeah. I don't even know whether that counts. But, you'd have to go and you'd change the prices and you'd be putting the wrong price in the wrong spot. And anyway, so the whole idea of these electronic shelf labels, you get rid of that. Problem is, politicians in the US claim that Kroger, one of the big stores, got 2,800 supermarkets in the US, are using digital price tags for dynamic pricing. They've also gone on to say this could mean the actual shelf tags will allow facial recognition technology, and that could be considered in pricing decisions. This is according to a New York Times story. So the idea is that the price tag can recognize the person buying and determine the price. Now, Kroger has said this is not happening. Walmart's got 4,600 stores. That is the gorilla in the market. It's also using these electronic shelf labels saying it's not happening. Problem is, when the politicians asked Kroger whether it would use these tags to raise prices when it sees fit in order to maximise profit, Kroger's response didn't exactly allay those fears. It didn't come out and say, no, we won't be using these tags to raise prices when it sees fit to maximise profit. It came out and said they were designed to lower prices for more customers where it matters most, which is kind of the flip side to lifting prices. I had never thought of anything about this until this story, and that's why it is so remarkable. I don't think it's happening, but you can see a future where these electronic shelf tags enable supermarkets to do all sorts of things, time of day pricing. Is it a kid buying it? Is it an elderly person buying it? It's just totally remarkable what the technology will allow. My most remarkable story, Michael.
That is remarkably long, Sean. That was intense. Mine is going to be short, which I know is very hypocritical. Mine's going to be very, very short. The most remarkable story for me this week was actually the ongoing story, but a big development this week. I realize I shouldn't have said that now. No, it's not an ongoing story at all. It is a straight up remarkable story entirely limited to this week. It is the nature of Australia's relationship with China, right? Which is both our biggest trading partner, but also one of our biggest political adversaries. Right. So we started this week, Sean, talking about wine exports and the fact that exports to China went from $8 million a year ago to $612 million. That is staggering. I'm not even going to attempt to figure out what percentage increase that is. Suffice to say, it is a lot. Because tariffs were removed, obviously, in March this year, when the relationship between China and Australia really began to normalise after Anthony Albanese came to power. But normalise is the key word here, because what is normal for a relationship like this? Because at the same time, as the economic ties are tightening and becoming easier and these markets are opening up again, at the same time, this week, there was an almighty...
Michael's quite boring when he goes brevity, Adam. Don't you think Michael becomes quite boring?
I'm just struggling with, is this really brevity?
It is. I will be done within about 90 seconds overall. Sean took 4.5 minutes. Just let me go. I'm nearly done. You two, like seriously.
10 seconds.
If I could bring a small portable taser of some kind into the studio, a cattle prod, and when you two interrupt me,
20 seconds.
Little crack in the ribs. At the same time as we're hearing about the wine
30
exports,
seconds.
Stop interrupting. At the same time as we see the wine exports increasing by what? I don't even know how many percent. I want to figure that out, but I just can't. It's beyond me right now.
Lots and lots.
Yeah, many, many, many times. There is an almighty diplomatic spat happening at the exact same time after an Australian diplomat raised concerns about human rights abuses. Now, China's foreign ministry spokesperson then hit back and accused Australia of systemic racism, of hate crimes, and hypocrisy on human rights. I think it is absolutely remarkable that in a week that we're talking about this tremendous growth from $8 million to $612 million in wine, that at the same time we're having a political dispute where we are being accused of human rights abuses by a country that has a very, very dubious record on that. This is a country that we are hugely dependent on. It feels like our relationship kind of takes one step forward, then kind of two steps backwards and half a step forward again, and who knows where it's at. And this week, I think, summed that up perfectly from the beginning to the end, neatly encapsulated within one 7-day period. It is not a continuation of an ongoing story at all. I misspoke. There you go. It's remarkable.
Oh, sorry, Michael. Very difficult to walk back from it when you said it yourself.
But Sean even said in his story, he goes, I don't think this is actually happening. So he even acknowledged that in his story, he goes, this is not actually happening, the surge pricing. So he acknowledged it's a non-event, his story. So penalise him for that.
It is not happening today. Well, I don't know that it's happening today, but wow, the potential is frightening.
So it's not actually happening, though, this week. So that's, you know what, I'm just saying, Adam, do what you need to do and be fair.
Got it. Thanks. So, Michael, I just love that small portable taser. Obviously, a new requirement for Fear and Greed to purchase for the studio.
That wasn't exactly a substantive part of the story, but we do like the little melodrama in it.
Unrelated at all. When you were struggling with what punishment you would bring on us, it was a small portable taser. Well done.
Some way of keeping you in order. I don't know how. Like, it's just anyway.
It's very difficult.
Go on.
I give that. Yeah. Also, your description of Australian-Chinese relationship, vexed, absolutely vexed relationship as it is, and continuingly so, I'm afraid.
That's right.
New and remarkable this week, that technological power is stunning. And the fact that they said, oh, yeah, we can do it to make prices cheaper. Now, ipso facto, they're also going to do it the other way, right? So, very delicate as to how they sell this in. They've obviously built the technology before they thought about how they're going to communicate that to the public. Remarkable tech. So,
remarkable.
Sean, you win for Remarkable Story of the Week.
Nanny, nanny, nana, nanny, na. 2-0.
This show is officially becoming a farce. Let's take a quick break. We will come back with a sleeper story of the week. All right, Sean, we're looking for a sleeper story of the week. A sleeper story is one that's flying under the radar or not getting the attention that we feel it deserves, in which case it might be a bigger story further down the track, in which case the fuse was lit during the week. What did you identify for us this week? What little gem have you unearthed?
The fuse was lit this week for the future relationship between AI and journalism, and this is a big one. Dow Jones and the New York Post, owned by Rupert Murdoch's News Corp, accused Perplexity, which is an AI startup, of a scheme to rip off their journalism. The publisher alleges that Perplexity, the AI startup, was engaging in a massive amount of illegal copying of their work. According to media reports, it claims Perplexity is diverting customers and critical revenues away from news publishers, free riding on the valuable content the publishers produce. So take a step back. Perplexity's search engine allows users to get instant answers, but the allegation is that the answer engine, as they call it, relies on a massive amount of copyrighted news, content, analysis, and opinion. This is the first major case between a publisher and an AI company, Perplexity, on the fair use of the content. I went on to Perplexity. So I've done an experiment this week. For 3 days in a row, I've tried to write the Fear and Greed script using AI to see if I could do myself out of a job. And I haven't come close to it. Now, that is also going to be in part because of my...
You were just too brilliant for AI,
yeah, something like that. Or I lack skills in using AI. But AI is fantastic, right? But it doesn't actually know very much. You have to tell it everything. And so I've tried to write the script this week using AI, and it hasn't worked. And Perplexity was actually the best of them, though, if you're going to use it, because it does access all this news content. So this is very much a test case for AI in journalism. And we didn't hear much about it, but wow, we're going to hear a lot about it in weeks, months, and years. Michael, stop rolling your eyes. A little respect.
Did you just say show respect?
For your elders.
Oh, gosh, the hypocrisy. Goodness me. You're done? Are you finished?
I'm done. A quick, brief, it's important. Big sleeper story.
It wasn't brief. This is brief. My sleeper story. It's a sleeper because nobody's talking about it. No one has talked about it in the past. Black market tobacco. Who knew it was so big in Australia? And I'll tell you why. We only know about it this week because of Viva Energy, which is quite remarkable, the fact that a company has been the one to draw our attention to this that you wouldn't expect. It's a company that really kind of you would think that most of their money and most of kind of their business is all about kind of petrol and all of that, but really it's the tobacco sales that they've drawn our attention to. They downgraded their outlook on the back of softer retail conditions, higher business costs, and lower tobacco sales, and triggered a near 7% drop in its share price. Now, Viva, of course, owns oil refinery, licenses a Shell brand, owns and sells via the Coles Express brand. So these are kind of household names. The tobacco sales, right? The tobacco sales were really what was the key element of this. And the thing that Viva Energy highlighted was that it was partly because, or significantly because, of the growing illicit tobacco trade. Isn't that extraordinary? I did a little bit of research.
Here we go. Can I just put a protest here? Just because you're ignorant of a story doesn't mean that everyone else is ignorant of that story.
Well, actually, I would suggest that most people probably are unaware of just how significant the impact is. Like, because I mean,
I'm looking at Adam's face in this, and it's very like Adam's like, "Come on, Michael, come on, give me something."
Okay, a test. All right. Adam,
yes.
How big an impact do you think black market tobacco is having on Australia at the moment? And I'd like you to quantify it in terms of the missed excise paid to government. You don't know, and that's fine. That's fine.
I said no more than last week or last year. I'm just wondering about which element of this has changed.
The fact that Viva Energy have actually identified it as the key reason for why their outlook has deteriorated.
Yeah, look over there. It's not us, it's them.
No, but it actually is. The fact is that the tobacconist stores have been popping up everywhere, right? And I did quite a bit of research into all of this. The black market is absolutely booming. The excise on a single cigarette is about $1.30. $1.30. That's quite extraordinary.
Incredible.
The amount that is paid to the government. The cost of 25 smokes is more than $50 now, right? If you buy it on the black market, if you buy it from somewhere else, and really a lot of that is through there are allegations. There are a lot of tobacconists doing the right thing, but there is a number of them that are not doing the right thing, which is why these shops have proliferated in the last kind of 2 years or so.
Allegedly.
Yes. I'm pretty sure I said allegedly. I said most of them were doing the right thing and some of them are not, potentially, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Mm-hmm.
The fact is that you will pay half that price. Treasury originally forecast, right, that the federal government would raise $15 billion in tobacco taxes last financial year. That is now just $10 billion. So this is costing the Australian people $5 billion a year. $5 billion. This is a $5 billion problem that nobody actually knew existed. One in three.
Federal government clearly knew it existed.
If you went up to anyone in the street, Sean, and asked them, did you know this? They would probably say, no, they do not.
Do you have a durry? Something like that.
Did you pay full price for that or did you buy it under the counter? Yes.
Yeah.
1 in 3 packs sold in Australia is illegal. Viva Energy highlighted that, and this is the first time that this kind of thing has been highlighted by Viva Energy. This is quite extraordinary.
By Viva Energy?
Oh, you know what? I've had it with the two of you. I am done. I'm actually not even going to finish.
Give me my taser.
I just, seriously, I would not do the taser in the ribs. I would tase you both in the face.
Ooh.
In the face right now. And good luck talking. You know what, Sean? You would sound like doing your favourite story after I've tasered you in the face. You're like, blah, 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 blah. Your tongue would be numb. Your lips would be numb. You would be a dribbling mess. And that would be how I would win.
The only way you'd win.
Yeah, I know. I'm acknowledging. I can see what's happening here. The judge is biased against me.
Go on, Adam. Just ignore him.
All right.
Turn his microphone off, please.
Okay, both stories are kind of not new. So I understand, Sean, your point on Perplexity, the case by News Limited, is absolutely new. However, there is a model of this very challenge in music whereby copyright of words, music, and
is that
recordings
news?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's been news in the past. And so it's as the copyright, intellectual copyright and use.
No, hold on. No, is that news?
Well, yeah.
You were talking music, way different to content analysis news.
Adam, don't stand for this. Don't stand for it.
Anyway, go on. Over to Michael's.
Thank you. So, illegal tobacco sales, not news. Definitely not. It's been happening for so long. And you do wonder, how the hell is this stuff all getting in this volume and being distributed so easily? It's nefarious. So, look, the scale of it, the 5 billion, I think, Michael, that is why you're going to win Sleeper Story for the week.
Feels like it hurt you to give that to me just then, Adam.
Well, it was the less worse story.
How totally, absolutely ridiculous, given that my story is a precedent case from a publisher, not a music producer, though, Adam, you're not smart enough to realise. Go on. Let's go on to our favourite stories.
Well, okay, I'll allow, let me just say one thing in my defence. The News Media Bargaining Code, which was installed years ago, is actually related to the use of news copyright material. And that has been in place for a couple of years now. Yeah, but that's the same thing. AI is just a version of stealing from the same source.
I think someone needs to explain to Adam what AI is. But let's move on to the next one.
Need to turn the taser up to maximum right now. This is things are getting tense in here. The air is crackling right now. Now, favorite story. May I go first on this one, Sean?
Please go for it.
Look, for me, my favorite story was the big week that McDonald's had, right? Which you may not expect, right? But the week started with Donald Trump. Donald Trump and McDonald's. It was a publicity stunt at a Pennsylvania Macca's restaurant where and I love these images. I just think they are fantastic. Of Donald Trump in the drive-through window, and he was there serving chips and doing all of that. And he was there talking about the fact that I might come back here and do this again. Well, you're not going to do that. But anyway, it was just like it looked great. It really, really did look like he was having fun. Great images, fantastic images. What it did spark was a heck of a lot of headlines for McDonald's. They were drawn into politics, which they do not like to be drawn into politics. And McDonald's actually had to put out a statement saying that, look, this was a franchisee who decided to do this. We really did not kind of have any say either way. And they had to clarify, we are not red or blue, we are golden, which I thought was a great line.
Beautiful.
From McDonald's, right?
Beautiful.
So I would say a good start to the week for McDonald's. They were in the headlines everywhere. Fantastic pictures of a former president serving chips, standing in the drive-thru. Then an E. coli outbreak, which is entirely unrelated to Donald Trump being in a restaurant. But an E. coli outbreak affects dozens of people across several states. One person sadly died. It was linked to Quarter Pounder burgers. In particular, the suggestion is that it was contaminated onions that were part of it. And the impact of that on the share price of McDonald's, immediate, significant, profound, and big as well. 10%. you know when you get to that point and you just run out of words, you know, like, oh, come on. Like even sometimes I have this moment of self-awareness where even I realize that I'm being verbose. That was one of them. The share price fell 10%. And I just think, you know what? And for a company as big as McDonald's, particularly in the US, a 10% fall is staggering. It is significant. It is massive.
Yeah. So that didn't happen to Tesla this week, did it?
Jumped Tesla
10%.
Tesla didn't have an E. coli outbreak, and Tesla didn't have Donald Trump serving chips through the window of a Tesla.
Just a 12% jump in its share price. Yeah.
Yeah, but Tesla's also more erratic, right? Tesla goes up and down. McDonald's doesn't. This is unusual for McDonald's, and even you would acknowledge that. Yes.
Really?
Yeah, it absolutely is. A 10% fall in McDonald's share price is actually big news. As someone who closely watches the McDonald's share price.
Yes.
The McNugget Index.
Yeah, the Nug Index. So look, anyway, big week for Macca's. Starts the week with the former president in the drive-thru window. Finishes the week with a 10% share price fall because of an E. coli outbreak. It's my favourite story just because it's got so much in it. It's got politics. It's got contaminated onions. It's got share prices falling, plummeting. Yeah, anyway, and it's got that great line, we are not red or blue, we are golden. Anyway, and really, to me, my favourite story is just all about the US election. That's really it, kind of, because this is really what it is.
US
US
election.
Yep. Sean, what have you got?
Yes. You've had a quick look at my notes because my favourite story has to be the US election. This is seriously fun, seriously interesting. This election, and I've lived in the US through an election, this has captured me more than ever before. The race is neck and neck in the important swing states. Harris is leading in Pennsylvania, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan. Trump in North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, all too close to call. Harris is leading in Minnesota. Trump's ahead in Texas. What's interesting about that, Texas is absolute Republican. But there are signs that even Texas are not quite dumping Trump, but they're not quite sure that they're as Republican as they thought. I mean, if the Republicans lost Texas, the game is all over. During the campaign, policy's taken a back seat. So too is Joe Biden. He's seen as a negative for Kamala Harris. We're seeing a lot more Barack Obama than we are of Joe Biden, that's for sure. Now, it's right to blame Donald Trump for the name-calling, the trivialization of what's at stake, but the Democrats haven't done much better. Ever since Kamala Harris got the call-up, she's been in full attack mode, playing the man, Donald Trump, rather than the game, what's best for the USA. No doubt in a social media world, the identity of the individual running for president is more important when it comes to winning office. But let's hope whoever wins actually has some substance to them. Because if I was voting, I'd have a lot of work to find out which candidate is best for me. Seems to be coming down to white males, anti-Trump Republicans, and the independents. They seem to be the ones that will decide who ends up in the White House. Been a record number of postal votes so far. Clearly, people are interested, and it's great to see that. Harris, she has been bringing in the big guns. Bruce Springsteen, Beyonce. Have you noticed that Taylor Swift, anytime you see Taylor Swift nowadays, she's carrying a cat? I think there's some sort of subliminal message in that. It's quite amazing. Anyway, to finish off, I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating. You can't, I can't get past US politics. I actually find myself in bed at night going to the New York Times to see what the latest is, and I watch the news all day, right? But it's just fantastic. Jackie finds it quite romantic. Anyway, leaving that aside. Over to you, Adam.
All right, McDonald's, Michael, Donald Trump, Arnold Palmer. We are not red or blue. We are golden. Very good. But the US election is the biggest story. It is daily, hourly updated, and we're so close. And the economic impact of a Trump presidency versus a Harris presidency will be profound. So, the US election for me wins.
But I did the US election. That's what I was talking about. And you know what? Nothing's going to get you to change your mind. You're stubborn. You're a stubborn judge. You can't be swayed.
When in doubt, go the judge.
Yeah, what is that, 3-1?
It is 3-1.
So can I still salvage a victory on the points, though? It could happen.
No.
It could happen. It could happen.
It could happen, but it didn't.
What were the points?
92 to 89.
A landslide. Landslide.
All right.
It's a landslide.
Thank you for your judging services today, Adam.
My pleasure.
And thank you, Sean.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Adam.
Make sure you're following the podcast, and please join us online on LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was Fear and Greed. Have a great weekend.